Oh, hello there, Outliers. Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. Today, we have an incredible experience set out here. We get a chance to play with Dr. Cathy, and I'm really excited to go even further in it. Cathy, thank you for saying yes to this. Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Absolutely, Niiamah. Thank you so much for having me here. What I'm playing today is digging deep into who you used to be and who you dreamed of becoming, and figuring out where that person went and bringing them back out to the surface, and then expanding to something far bigger, far greater than you ever thought was possible.
Mm. I'm excited for this year. Outliers. So Kathy and I were talking right before we came on here, and I realized that like that invitation was something that like I specifically was desiring. And Kathy was really gracious in being able to extend an invitation and say, like, hey, then why don't we play with that here? So we're gonna spend some time diving into Kathy's world and how she shows up as an outlier. And then we're gonna be able uh I was going to say flip the tables, but I'm like it's a round table, so it's all the same. But I'm going to bring myself into the hot seat, and you'll get a chance to see this journey through an actual demonstration with me just being in this space here. And Kathy, I appreciate you just being open to that.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
All right, cool. So, help us get to know you here overall. Where I'm interested in is like less about like what brought you into this work. Um, but tell me about the story of something that's happened for you recently that keeps you doing this work.
Oh, okay. That's a wonderful question. I recently had a woman join one of my 6 week challenges who is a high level corporate sales professional. And I'm talking high level, number one national sales representative for her company for the last 2, 3 years in a row. She joined my 6 week challenge, and I kind of got the sense that she was joining it to weigh it out and be like, is this anything that I could do myself? She was the most enthusiastic, biggest raving fan. I couldn't even have predicted this. She literally said after the second week, 10 out of 10 across the board. I can't wait for the next thing to unlock because you have exceeded every expectation I ever had and then some. And so what that reminded me of is we are all really good at something. You are great at what you do. I'm great at what I do. The people listening, you are great at what you do. But the best thing that you are greatest at is being you. You are the best at being you. And so when we really release ourselves and we allow ourselves to be the best version of ourselves and we bring that to the world, and we don't hide and we don't apologize and we don't preface it and we don't say, oh, but I don't know if I'm playing too big or too small. If we just be ourselves, what ends up happening is it allows the people in our space that freedom as well. And so getting feedback from someone who I thought was no way was this woman really going to take this seriously or really put her effort into it. And she was the one who went all in. And believe it or not, all of the other women in that 6 week challenge voted her the winner. She won a trip to Disney because that's what they voted her to be, because she just played full out. And she's later said to me, that wasn't my intention. You pulled it out of me. I didn't even know it was in there.
I'm all muted over here. Like we're gonna have some fun over here today. Like, there's because I think you're speaking to something that really has been sitting on my heart recently. And you talked about someone who already like she's already playing a big game out in the world. She's the number one at her spots, all that
Huge.
things, right? And yet there's still more room for her to play more fully as herself. That's what I feel like I got from that. And let me check in with you on that. Was that
That is exactly it. It was, of all the people that had joined that round of the challenge, she was the last one that I thought would complete it. I
yeah,
thought she would dabble in it
yeah,
and take what she needed and move on or translate it to her line of work.
yeah.
No, she went full on,
Yeah.
all the way in.
All right, so Outlier, here's a quick ask for you. Where's the last time and when's the next time that like you're gonna allow yourself to go full on all the way in? Like and just like what I'm hearing is like she just trusted and went all in on it.
Right.
You know, so Kathy, I'm curious here. Like one of the things that we do here, because we're going to spend a lot of time with you actually being in the actual work itself. So I'm curious about your business, right? And how you've been able to create your business in your own outlier way, right? So tell me about some of the things that you love about your business that like very few other people like would like would might even do it the way that you do.
So I have been in brick and mortar for 30 years. I had my own chiropractic practice, but I was also in the transformational space. I don't call myself a motivational speaker. I don't like the term inspirational speaker because that to me it doesn't last. It's like getting somebody all excited and walking away. I am an empowerment speaker. I'm a transformational coach. I'm going to not just tell you exciting, fun things, I'm going to teach you more about yourself and then create strategies and tools and action steps so that you can not only achieve your goals, but exceed your wildest expectation. So by having been brick and mortar for 30 years and having a huge staff and a big patient basis for many, many years and teaching at universities and speaking to travel all around the world, I've gotten so many different perspectives from doctors, patients, from administrators at colleges, from people that I travel to different countries with such different diverse backgrounds. You learn so much from people that you can then turn around and be a better person and use it to help other people.
One of the things that I'm getting from what you're saying here is actually like the experience accumulated along the way, right? Where like because you can't shortcut the learning so
No,
much from other people part,
right,
right?
right.
And so like in my mind, I'm like, okay, how did you go from like chiropractic to this? Like, what's going on to my mind, Kathy, is this. When I hear you speak, I'm like, oh, she just kept going. That's what's going on at the moment. She just kept going, and we'll talk about this, but like, there's a part of me that's like, it's like, oh, what unlocked the different levels for you to not be like, oh well, I'm known in chiropractic and I've done this, and now it's time to go do this next thing. And if I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it as though like I haven't been I mean a lot of people who like start again are like, well, now I'm a beginner coach. I don't get that sense from you. You're
No,
just like, okay, we're
no.
gonna keep growing and we're just gonna keep going on. Can you speak to that? Because I feel like there's a big distinction in that.
So I'm going to give you the childhood history, and I know most times when people do that, I'm sitting here going, don't give me that, don't go back that far. But at 12 years old, I was training the football team in the weight room because I was so into fitness that I just had to pour through the magazines and read everything I could and learn everything I could. And so I'd be in the weight room as the only female in there, and the strength coach would say, "Hey, can you actually show us what you're doing?" Fast forward at 17, I'm an aerobics instructor, group fitness instructor, and I'm teaching corporate wellness. At 17 years old, I was still in high school, but I'm going into big businesses in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and I'm teaching corporate wellness because for me, when you learn something, you got to give it back. Like you got to share it. You got to multiply it. And so that's what I've always done. And learning at a very early age the impact that you can have on other people's lives when your sole purpose is to help others be better in whatever capacity that may mean. It is so rewarding. It's not about money. I have riches that mean nothing, that have nothing to do with money. I have the love of my family. I have the respect of my community. I have people whose lives are better because we've worked together, right? And so that is what fuels me. So along that journey, becoming a chiropractor, and then during my pregnancies, I had a huge website where we taught thousands of women around the world every month how to have healthy pregnancies, better birth outcomes. It's just always been going in that direction. And exactly like you said, you just keep going. You just keep moving forward. You just keep going. You learn. You move forward, and you take the cumulative effects of everything you've learned and every bit that you are, and you just keep shaping it into the next best version of yourself. And when you give that back to the world, magic happens.
Oh, I like this here. So I'm going to ask you one other question that I think really plays into this element of like that next best version of yourself. And this to me comes to like the thing that most people wouldn't say, right? And so I'm curious for you, what have you found to be one of the hidden costs of choosing to be someone who is truly going for it, of who's actually chosen to be the best version of themselves?
It's intimidating for a lot of people because not everybody wants to play at that level. Not everybody wants to go full speed ahead. Not everybody has a desire to be in what I call a can I state, constant and never ending improvement, right? And I know everybody uses that term, but not everybody actually wants to do that. We say that we do. We say that we have ethics. We say that we have morals. We say that we want the best for everybody, but do we really? When you genuinely want to improve, when you want to see a better world for your kids, your grandkids, your future great grandkids, right? When you see the possibilities juxtaposed with the reality, you get to decide, do I want to create something amazing that's never been done before, or do I want to settle for what's here? Right? You can look at it and say, the world is our oyster. We can create whatever we want. You can be whoever you want. Or you can say, well, my family was this, and nobody in my family ever did that. And no one from my community ever did that. So this is what I'm going to be. You get to decide. And you get to decide every single day when you wake up. You get to decide every single step when you have a choice during the course of your day. You get to decide when you go to bed, who am I going to sleep as? The best version of myself or the mediocre version?
Liking this. I'm liking this. Um, let's see here. You mentioned earlier that you have an app. Tell us more about about this app here. I want to like get an understanding as to like what it is, how it works, and then afterwards we're gonna like, if you're good with we'll move rotate the table. How about that?
I love it. Rotate the table. So I'm going to give you the why before I give you the what. And the why is I went through a difficult time in my life where, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, I filed for divorce, right? I filed for divorce because I'm a person who's so driven to succeed, and I had a vision of who I was, and I was not a divorced person. So I stayed in a situation that didn't serve me and wasn't beneficial for my children, but I stayed because I identified as a married chiropractor. But I could no longer keep that image going because something inside of me said this isn't right. This is not right for you. It's not right for the kids. So during that time period, I took all of my coaching clients and I asked them for their permission to just release them. I said, this is a time for me to focus on us, for me to focus on me and my children. And with the blessing of every one of my coaching clients and every one of the event organizers that I said, look, take me off of your schedule, take me off the calendar. I'm not on your stage. Just, I need a pause. And here's why. I don't want to speak from scabs. I want to speak from scars. Because if we're speaking from scabs, we're bleeding all over everybody. And that does no good for anyone. But when we speak from scars, it means we're healed. And from that healed place, we can explain to people, this is how I got here. This is how you can get here too. Let me help you. Let me show you. And the fresher the scar, the easier it is for me to reach back and show someone who's going through it right now, right? I can't reach back to someone from 40 years ago and say, oh yeah, I did this. No, but I can show you something that I've gone through in the last 10 years because I still remember, I still can feel your pain. I can still feel that sensation of being stuck in something that you know is not right, but you're not willing to make a change. And so when I released all my coaching clients, I put my focus on to self-development, self-growth, healing, learning. Why was I in this situation? Why did I choose to stay in something that I knew was wrong, but felt stuck nonetheless? Was it for the kids' sake? Was it for the ego and the image sake? After having released everyone, I spent a couple years, and one day I was just finishing up a women's retreat. We had about 30 women. We're on the beach, and as everybody was leaving, I decided it's time for me. And I sat on the beach, and so many people had asked me to come back to coaching, and so many of the women had said, it's time. You need to come back. And I said, well, I don't know. And I sat there thinking, well, what if it is time? And what if I am the one that they need? And what if I could be of benefit to other people? And the more I said, what if? And I said, well, how would it look? And who would I be? And what would I do if? And the more I kept saying, what if started resonating. And all of a sudden, like a light bulb just went off. I said, wealth, health, attraction, and transformation to inspire fearless freedom. What if, right? Wealth, health, attraction, and transformation to inspire fearless freedom. That sense of freedom where you could be who you want to be and do everything that you love and have the life that you desire without limitations, without obligations that are holding you down, without old stories and old baggage and limiting beliefs, just freely be the best version of yourself. What would that look like? And so that's how this momentum just came back to life because I took a pause, but the universe said, no, It said, we'll give you some rest, but you're not done here. And so as that started coming around, the why was so big that why? Because we need this. Why? Because there's certain people that don't resonate with anybody but you or but me, right? They need a specific person. There's other chiropractors in town, but people would drive past them to get to me. Why? Because they've resonated with me. There's other coaches, but people come to me. Why? Because they resonate with me. It's not about what I do, it's about who we are together when we're doing it.
Well, and that I like to let sometimes just let it just like sink in here. Yeah, I think if you're cool with it, Kathy, I'll also let you know about my experience of it, right? Of what you just said.
Yes.
One of the things I love where the conversation ended, but I also really loved how it started, which is I asked a question and you're like, I'll tell you the what, but let me first get to the why, right? And I think that element of starting with the why that really struck something to me. I'm like, oh yeah, like there's the world constantly asks about the what, you know, and I think that so what do you do, how can you help me, like it's all kind of like, oh, like in those specific like framings, and there's just something that you just took me back to where you're like literally I'll just start with why, like, you know, back to 2009 Simon Sinek. It's like we got to start there and all the rest of it like comes in. So um the some of the things that I'm taking from that were not just that you started with why, but that you also answered the question in the way that was most aligned with the way that you wanted to answer the question. And I think that that's really lovely. And what happens is that this podcast, the roundtable, for me ends up just being a way of shining a light of like this is what's happening. This is like notice like the subtleties. Like if you didn't see it, if we weren't thinking about it, you might have just thought that like, you know, the question got answered, you know, but like there's things happening here. There's things that you're doing that I think line up with how an outlier trailblazer shows up in the world. They're like, you asked me a question, but the real question you wanted to ask me was at this level. Let me just level that question up here, right? So thank you for that. Is there anything you want to say on that behalf there, or anything you want to say to Trailblazers or anyone that's listening right now? Otherwise, I think it'd be really good to just like shift things over and have you play with me for a little bit so that they get to see this in real time.
I love that you said we all walk around people asking people what they do, but what you do is just the car. It's the car that takes you to the destination, and the destination is your life. So if we're more interested in the car than the journey, well, then that's all we have. We don't have a journey that we're proud of. We don't have a journey that we are excited about. We don't have a journey that leads a pathway for our kids or our friends or our family members to follow. My goal is to just pave a pathway. As one of the only women speakers in my profession many years ago, back in 2012, there were no other women speakers, a handful, but at most events I went to, it was me and 28 men. And I said, that's not going to continue. So then the next time you asked me to speak on your stage, I said, yes, but I'm bringing two other women. And so my thought was, I'm just going to push the door open and I'm going to hold it open and yell, like, come on, get in, hurry up, hurry up. Because I'm not afraid to stick my head up above the crowd. I'm not afraid to put myself out in front. I'm not afraid of the arrows because I'm willing to take that, because I'm willing to do it for the greater good. I'm willing to do it because I've been told that I'm a liberator. I've been told that I'm a warrior, but I am. I'm a warrior for change, positive change. And I'm a liberator for ideas that people have so deep inside of them that they're afraid to share. And so when you ask people, what do? You get the standard answer. I'm a chiropractor, I teach aerobics, I teach group fitness, whatever. I have a podcast or I have an app or I have a website or whatever. But the have is nowhere near as important as the reason behind it.
So let's play. This year outliers. Take all this in here. Um, yeah, I'm excited we have Kathy here because I feel like your energy is really cool. Um, what I love to do is to give the mic to you, right? and I'll stop there. The mic is yours, and then
Okay,
and we'll keep going here. We have about 20 minutes. Is that feel about
okay,
right? So it'll be about like
perfect,
15, 20 minutes. All right,
perfect.
cool. Let's
Okay.
play.
All right. So Niiamah, why did you start your podcast?
Uh, the so I've been doing podcasting on and off for 10 years, right? And so the first reason I got into podcast feels different than what it is right now. Like for me, like true. The first reason I did it was podcasting is what brought me into entrepreneurship. And I remember like where I was the first time I ever heard a podcast, and like coming back from a college reunion, and my friends were playing Project Money or something like that, one of the NPR ones, or Planet Money, I think it is, and just being like, wait, you can like learn on the go. Like we just like it was so foreign to me, and that's what brought me. I found a podcast, listened to it, and started my own business. Was working at full time at the time, and uh, yeah, there's something about it that really resonates. Now, why do I do it? There's probably two ways, right? I think the two reasons. The one that I don't want to say is the one that I'm gonna say first, because it feels just like so basic, you know. But at the same time, it's like if I hiding from you now, we're not gonna get anywhere in the rest of this conversation, right? Um, the reason I did this podcast, or I brought it back, it was off on hiatus for about 2 years before it came back. The reason I came back, I said I'm going to do a podcast, was that I looked at my clients and I was like my daughter was born, and I realized that like with the way my coaching practice was going, it was too inconsistent with the cash flow. And so I looked at it and I said, where, like, if I was just going to do something and just do it really well, like, what would it be? And I found that, like, I was like, oh, I've gotten clients for my podcast and I wasn't even really trying. Like, what if I just did that on purpose? Right. And so that was the reason I turned it back on it in one way. But part of the reason I keep doing is like, I get a chance to meet incredible people. They get a chance to meet each other. And podcasts to me, well, there's a lot of work in terms of like actually getting it out there. It's really accessible. Like you could just download it. It's there. And if you wanted to have, you want your voice to be out in the world, your message to be out in the world, you can put it on an iTunes, or you can just record yourself on voice message and get it out into the world. And so I like that. I like that. Like the 17-year-old me would have been able to do this as well. Does that right make sense?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Okay. This is a two-part question.
uh-huh.
When you first started podcasting, it was not as easy. It was a learning process. But tell me about the first time you actually got it uploaded and heard yourself.
See, like that's a really interesting thing. All right, so the I'm gonna ask a question here, Kathy, because I'm gonna want to take it beyond the podcast to the business altogether, right? In a bit. Um, I'm an extrovert. And up until for a very long time, I've loved being the center of attention. Um, in the last 8 years, that's shifted, and that's actually part of where I'm like I feel off. I don't know. This one-on-one stuff. I'm good at it, but like y'all haven't even like people don't know. They don't know how ridiculous I am. Like they just
Put
don't
you
have
on a
no clue.
stage in front of 1,000 people and
Yeah,
let you
yeah,
fly.
yeah, exactly. But like at the same time, it's like nowadays, it's like I don't know if I would want that in the same way. And so when I listened to it for the first time back then, it wasn't a thing, like it wasn't like a courageous act or whatever. Just like, oh yeah, cool. Like this is how I'm gonna do the thing, you know. And like part of the reason I like have editing, or you see me like just like sharing and like here, is because my first ever recorded episode, I recorded at my parents' house. The internet kept breaking in and out, and I just kept like pretending that it didn't happen. And rather than, probably what I should have done is ask the guy to do it again later on. I spent about like 7 hours trying to like piece together mid word, not even mid sentences, but like mid word,
Mhm.
to like try and get the audio to match with the video. It's still out there on YouTube. And like, I remember that and be like, this was too much work. Because
Just
I'm
be
trying to,
real.
yeah, because I'm trying to craft myself into something that this what like didn't need to be. Like I could just be. And I think I've been on this journey for a very long time of just being. Um, And I left that journey to be like, all right, now I'm going to go do. And I've been doing, and I'm like, results are fine. But like, if I'm going to get fine results, I might as well be like that.
That's
That
right.
feels a lot like there's just more opportunity in the world of being than just in the world of doing, if that makes any sense. I know I went a little abstract.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because most people focus on the have.
Yeah.
And then they go and they have things that they don't know how to maintain, right? They don't know what to do to have that nice car, to have that nice house. They got in over their head, and they're not the right person because they don't know how to be the person who's willing to do the work to have that lifestyle. So if we focus first on that be, it changes everything. It shifts the whole conversation. And people say it, right? Everybody says, oh, be do have. I get it. Be do have. But do you really? Do
Yeah.
they really? Do they really focus on that? Okay, so let's shift gears. So the 17-year-old self could have been able to do this. Technology wasn't there. But when you were 17, 15, 13, what did you envision for your life?
I thought I was going to go play the trombone at the College of New Jersey. And like it's a pretty big part of my story because like the sentence that I carry with me is like I'm not supposed to be here. Um, and I ended up going to an Ivy League school and never having heard of it. You know, applied when they sent me they called it the Big Red Book came in and I applied. Um, and it was a big deal for other people. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. You know, I remember being in high school and people being like, can you believe that all of us? You know, I was the one that went to an Ivy League school. Like, yeah, like, so like I have that in there.
Yeah.
I haven't brought that up in a while. So it's fun to see that that still lives. Um, but yeah, like the life that I'm living, it felt like at 17, 18, my life just like everything just became bonus, you know? Like I didn't know about this and like the opportunities I got, the people I met, the way like the things we were doing. I was just surrounded by I call them independently interesting people, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's like didn't need anything. It's part of why, Kathy, you see me here with like creating this way because from that moment onwards, and there were some actual like beforehand, I don't want to like to leave anyone out, but like from that moment onward, I kept being in spaces that were curated with awesome people who were just creating as a general way of living, you know, like it just was them, like it just, I don't know, we were just building things together, you know, and then it went away. Like I moved to Singapore and I had to like start all over, like all that infrastructure went away, you know, and I could tell you about all the different ways that it was there. But I think that like, I think I ought to speak to that because like now that I've found some semblances of it, there's a big part of me that's like resisting losing it, you know? But I think that the game is actually happening. The game I want to play is happening on like in a different arena. The game I want to play is happening at a different level. I'm like, okay, how do I step into that more fully? Does that make sense? I maybe still be
Yes.
talking too abstractly, but
No, absolutely. Because what that says to me is there was an energy that you had at that point in your life that you didn't even know you tapped into. There was a persona, there was a side of yourself. There were hopes and dreams of your family and your community. There were the naysayers in your community as well, right? How dare he? And then the other side is saying, oh my gosh, they like put all of our hopes and dreams on him and you carried them, but you carried them so well. I don't believe that there's coincidences in life. I believe that everything happens for a reason and everything happens to us, right? The universe happens to you, life happens to you, success comes from you. You were the right person to walk through the door. And that's why the door is open for you. And so you didn't just accidentally end up in those places. Nobody accidentally stumbles up the mountain. You were ready, and the universe tapped you on the shoulder and said, it's your turn. Go. And you did what you did, and you had the success that you had, and you had the opportunities to meet people. What did you call them? Independent, interesting people?
independently interesting people, like they're just like just because just on their own, they're just like, oh yeah, you're good.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's like I do race car derbies. I'm like, never heard anyone else. I don't know anyone else who does that, but like that's interesting, you
Right,
know?
right.
Yeah,
And if you had the opportunity to color your life with people like that, consider yourself very fortunate and blessed, right? Because
yeah,
not everybody does. Some people
yeah,
get up, go to work, drive home and sit on the couch, and they do the same thing every day and they call it a life. And then
Yeah.
they wonder why they're not happy or not fulfilled, or, they're just stuck in the same day-to-day miserable existence. Doors open for you because you were vibrating at a level that was the key to unlock them.
Yeah.
So how do we get you back to that level? How do you start having the vision for yourself, and how do you start vibrating back at that level that says anything is possible? You've been on beaches before. We've all walked on beaches before. If I were to bend down and grab a handful of sand, there's millions of grains under your feet. And that's just in one little stretch of the beach. And the beach may go miles and miles, and there's thousands of beaches across the world. That's my reminder that opportunities are everywhere and possibilities are limitless. So all we have to do is get our brain to start thinking about what it is that I want to bring about. What you think about, you bring about. So if I think about, here's a perfect example. I was on a podcast earlier today, and the woman asked me the most bizarre random question that I wasn't expecting. And she said, if you could download any skill overnight immediately and wake up tomorrow morning and have it, what would it be? And I said, I'd pilot a plane. And then I would take that plane everywhere so that we could meet people, talk to people, help people, bring supplies, bring tools, bring strategies, so show people a bigger vision. But I would pilot a plane. She turned to me and she said, my son just moved into college. His roommate is learning to pilot a plane. And I said, you know what? This is so weird, because last night I was redoing a vision board from stuff that had been cut out at a party I had at my house 7 months ago. And there was a little plane that said private airplane on it. And I picked it up and looked at it and I said, huh, and put it back down. But see, that's because the universe is saying something's going on here. Something's going on. So when you went to Singapore, you may have released, and I apologize because it's starting to pour right here. So I hope that you can
I
still
can't
hear me.
hear any
Okay,
of it. You're good. You're
wonderful,
good.
good. Okay. When you went to Singapore, there was probably a great reason and a great opportunity there. That opportunity may have shifted the course of your life, but it didn't shift who you are inside. So where you may have done more of the why is still in there.
Mm.
And so who you be at your core is what you need to tap back into. And who is it that you be? Like, what is your be? Who do you want to be at your core? And therefore, what do you want to bring to the universe?
This is interesting. All right. So what's flowing through me is one, it's like, oh, I like it's been a while since I was asked a question. So I like that. I'm like, I have to put myself in more spaces to be able to reflect on it. That's um and in doing so, it also reminds me of the power of coaching. So that's really lovely. There's an element of this where there's no real end for me. You talk about like possibility, like limitless possibility. Like I think this is like this comes back to the 17-year-old self with once I got into the school, I was like, oh, when that became possible for me, at like I realized like I thought I knew me at that point. I thought I knew what life would bring. I thought I knew what would come next. And like that actually opened up like a whole new realm, right? Like I like call it like just like white space. I feel like I entered into a void and there was just like infinite white space. And things have been painted along the way. But there isn't there's a me there isn't like an actual end vision of me. I'm realizing that as we speak, right? There's things that I want to do, and the things that I think that I judge myself on, or like I measure myself against, compared like when it comes to mission and impact. Like I ask myself, like, hey, like should I go out there and like get the book out there? Should I become that personality again? Should I step back into creating my own thought leadership and like and going for like the many, if not the masses, Um, and I'm like, is that me still? You know? Uh, but what I don't want you to know about me is that I think that I'm independently boring a bit right now. right? I feel that like as much as I talk to outliers and trailblazers, there's some part of me that deep down inside, I don't feel that interesting anymore. I don't feel like that much of an outlier anymore. 8 years ago, oh my gosh, 4 years, oh, you went out, you left like you're working at Deloitte, you had this tech company, you went out and you lived out in Singapore. Oh my gosh. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a father of two living in San Diego, paying the mortgage, and like, I have this podcast. Like it's just like it all just kind of feels a little meh, you know? And it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it's too. I mean, I'm almost exactly where I'm expected to be in my mind, and that part I think is that's the part of the being that I would love to like play with because I'm like, huh. You talked about flying the plane. What comes to me is like this image of being a bird who like didn't see any other birds around him for a while, you know, and saw people getting around, looked down and saw all these people walking and running and be like, oh, okay, I guess that's how we're supposed to get around. So the bird came and started using their legs. My little bird legs are not, they don't have the muscles like others. I'm not gonna run any race against anyone and win, you know? And there's a part of me that's like, what is these things on my sides? And I know that they're wings. I'm like, there used to be a time where I was up in the sky soaring. How do I do that again? That is probably like on the realist, and I always say this, like knowing that like I'm still in action, like I'm not doing things. Like we have a daily podcast going out. I mean, like we're doing great things, you know, and yet I'm like, y'all haven't seen anything yet. And that part, that I would love to mm, like that I would love to be again.
Right. So creators like you and I have thousands of hours of content, videos, old podcasts, whatever. When you go back and you listen to something during your heyday, I know I have this one talk that I did on stage. There's 3,500 people in the audience. And it was just an energy that at the end of the talk, throughout the whole talk, I had the whole crowd going nuts. But at the end of the talk, I had 3,500 people standing up, repeating after me. Every time I watch that video, I get goosebumps. But yet I would never do that same talk again. I've never repeated any talk I've ever given. Everything I do is completely off the cuff. I have a starting line and I get on stage. I know exactly where I'm going to start and I just go because it's 50 years of preparation. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
I didn't prepare to get on that stage. It's 50 years of preparation, but I didn't prepare for that stage. I've been preparing my whole life. You are the same way. You have been doing this so much that I bet you there are certain episodes that you can go back and watch and you just get like the feels because you're like, oh my God, I was at the peak right there. I was like on fire. The wings were spread. I was flying. Everything was going right. It doesn't mean you need to recreate that exact version of you.
Yeah.
But it does mean that you need to let that be the fuel underneath the wings to say, hey, buddy, let's lift up. Let's get off the ground just a little bit. Let's just run a little bit fast enough that we can spread these things out and then see what we actually where we want to go at this point in our life. Because the dream that we had, for some people, the dream we had when we were 7, 8, 15, 22 years old, and we put aside is really still burning in us. And we really want to be that person. But for some people like you, the dream that we had at 7, 8, 15 years old, we've kind of passed it, right? And so now, if we don't have bigger, bolder, more audacious goals and dreams, then we just feel like we're boring. We just feel like it's great to be a parent and it's great to have our kids and it's great to pour into them. And there's a season of life where that is your purpose. That is absolutely your purpose. But then there becomes a time in life where you have to say, I am a better parent. I'm a better partner. I'm a better business or whatever it is when I honor me first, when I take care of me first. You know that old saying, pay yourself first? In the world of life, you got to pay yourself first. You got to take care of your needs, your dreams, your desires, your goals first, so that you can be a role model, so that you can be a vision of excellence for people to follow, and so that you can be the inspiration to keep yourself going. So if we were to give you just a little, like just a little wing right underneath your wings, and we got you running just enough that you could lift up off the ground and you could see a different perspective now. You see where you were, you see where you've been, you see where you thought you wanted to go. But now you get up just a little bit higher and you go, oh, I didn't know that was there. And in that, I didn't know that was there. If you could just be bold and audacious and just tell me 5 or 10 things or experiences or places or just 5 or 10 random, don't censor them. This is what I'd love to attract into my life.
All right, let's play. All right, so I'm trying not to censor, but there's also something that's just like on my heart here, which is like, oh, right now, this is not the time of a new guru. This is like it's the time of the old guru, meaning like it's like go back, but like I know my homework. It's like go back and listen to yourself, you
Mm.
know, like and go spend like you nailed it with like the hundreds of hours and such, like the thousands of hours that are out there. Yeah. And I
And they're
think
good. And
they're
they're
good.
good. Every
They're
one of them is
good. They're
good.
true. They're good. They're true. They're honest. And it's like it reminds me of like in college I could do anything. And what did I do? Right? I didn't like that was like the most unrestrained. I didn't have to be at work. I didn't do anything. Like what did I do? And so there's something in there where it's like, dude, you were building this thing. Right? What did you do? What did you do before you decided you needed to become mature? This is very good timing, by the way. I know you asked me a question. I'm not answering that question yet, but I've learned from someone who showed me that you can answer the question. But this is the 4 year. Yesterday was a 4 year anniversary of us leaving Singapore to come to San Diego. You know, and so this conversation is like, I get it. Like I just graduated from a certain thing, you know, and now like the timing of it couldn't have been more right. And it's like in graduation, um, it's bringing back all the things that I had beforehand. It's not like I just have I think it's some of the things I'm seeing in you where it's like, oh, you had like the chiropractic, but you continue to grow. You know, you didn't say, I'm doing this new thing. Goodbye, all this past work. Let me start from scratch and then start all over again. You just kept building on top of it. And I think that like that's what's really flowing through for me right now. Like I can vision out in the world and I'm like, and there's things where I'm like, oh yeah, like speaking on stages it's just I just want to be more out there. I think the thing that's played out right now is I'm like, oh, I have been so good at bringing people onto my platform and then also showing up in real time with deep presence in my and the coaching that I do that like and also learning about business like how it actually works rather than like what are the actual mechanics to make it work that in doing all those things, I've lost my voice out in the world. Then you see it. There's glimpses. There's things that like I'm so experiential that like I'm like, what is my body of work? What is my IP? Like, what is it time to step back into influence more directly, like either thought leadership or beyond? There's a part of me that's calling in because I'm like, I don't think that my brilliance is shining through in the way that like it really could be. And people are getting experiences of me and they're like, yo, you shine bright, you know? But I haven't created the infrastructure underneath that in this current iteration. And as we're talking, Kathy, I'm like, oh, but I had it before. So let me go back and like it might be time to transcend and include and like and bring that in. So that's what's really flowing out for me. It's like I'm like, I don't even know if this is I don't know. There's some part of this that just feels like, oh, it's just I wish I can articulate this part. I'll do my best, but it just speaks of like chapters around the world, like um outliers coming together and they creating things. I think that I'm a little bit too passive right now, a little bit too like responsive as opposed to being creative. And I think that that's what's really being called out here. And like it might be time to move away from business in order to get back into what you're calling out. Like who are you really? Do you remember who you are and go out in the Latin world and do that? So that's what's playing through me.
Because we are at our best when we're completely passionate about what we're doing. Right. There was I'm so like this. And there's a quote from Beyonce where she was recording an album and she forgot to eat for like 3 days. I'm that way. If I'm creating, I can create nonstop. I don't eat, I don't think, I don't sleep, I don't do anything. I just pour my heart and soul into creating. And there are days where I've recorded 200 videos and I'm ready to record another 200 and we just keep going because because you're in your genius zone, right? Like the passion is flowing, the excitement is flowing. You're not even thinking. It is just pure love, adrenaline, passion, excitement, right? So you're just there. How do you get back to that, knowing that we have to provide, we have to pay the mortgage, and we have to put groceries on the table, and we have to change diapers, and we have to make sure the kids get to school, and we have to make sure that our car has gas in it, right? We have to do all those things, but we get to do the things we're passionate about. And so, how do we make the passion part so big, so purposeful, such a priority that it fills the need and fills all of the other obligations that we have? So, how do you make your passion so big and so exciting that that becomes the fuel for everything else?
I want to answer that question. You let me know. Like, I feel like we're probably gonna probably get to like start wrapping, but do you mind if I answer that question? Because something
Yes.
I did get
Yes.
something here. What ended up coming was like it's so interesting what happens when you ask the question and like my answers don't like line up immediately with it, but it opened up something where it's like, oh, this feels like it's about like being willing to take the risk, being willing to like it was when you put all like the real world stuff in front of me. I feel like at a certain point, maybe that was the why it was changing. Like, all right, it's time to stop taking risks. It's time to get this right. Put on your big boy pants, like just do the things, and go with it. And as such, I've kind of created what I can create on my own. And my vision, that's why I'm like, the vision's not hard, but my vision feels like I feel like I stop because I'm like, I actually know how to get all the things done. But personally, I cannot get it done. We could get it done. But I cannot get it done. And I think that like what was going through me when you asked that question was just like, what if you like it all like the word mistake came like to the top of my mind and I felt like I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm trying to avoid making mistakes right now and it's rather boring because it's rather safe.
You're
You know
playing
what I'm saying?
safe. Yeah. You
I'm
gave
playing
up, you
safe.
gave up joy for security. You gave
Yeah,
up
oh sheesh.
excitement for safety, right? You gave up passion for stability. And when
Mm.
we do that, and so many people do it because the world says it's time to grow up, time to grow up, time to get a real job. You got to put food on the table. You can't keep bouncing around, can't live in a van down by the river. You got to have a house, you got to raise your kids somewhere. You can't be a nomad and travel the world. Why not? Right? Why? Why do we conform to what somebody else said we should do with our life? Because they were too afraid to do it. And so they put their fear on you. They put their fear on our listeners. If your grandparents never went to college, then they think we don't need to go to college. You don't need to go to college. If your family never had a good job, then they think you don't deserve to have a good job. If your family never owned real estate, then they think, why would you need to own real estate? Right? Families, they don't mean to do it in a bad way, but they pass down their fears, their beliefs, their limiting beliefs onto us. And then we either wear them like coats that weigh us down, or we say, huh, that's a good stepping stone for me to jump off of. And so we have to decide that. So one of the things that you're going to do tonight, because your brain is not going to shut down, is you're going to think about who you were when you first started podcasting. You're going to think about that excitement and the energy, why you came back to podcasting 2 years ago. You're going to think about all the doors that opened for you when you were 17, 18, 20 years old, going to an Ivy League school. I mean, who gets that opportunity? Not everybody, not everybody, but you did. And there's a reason you did. And I want you to think about what was that reason? Why was I the person that was chosen? Why was I the person that was able to open doors and have the most extraordinary life that most people probably only dream of? And what am I going to do with that? Because your story's not done and goals are not the end of your life. Goals are the next step. The amazing thing about reaching a goal, it's kind of like climbing a mountain. As soon as you climb that mountain, you're like, yes, I made it to the top of the mountain. You're like, oh, there's other mountains up there that I never even knew because I couldn't see them from down below at the ground. But now that I'm up at what I thought was the top, now I realize this is just one level. I got a lot more to go. And it gives you a bigger, broader vision of the whole world. So take everything, who you are, who you've been, what you've created, the energy, the passion that has been inside of you, treat it like it's a flashlight, right? And that flashlight shines bright, but in life, we get dirt on it. right? We get gunk on it, we get muck on it, we get old clothes and we get old stories, and they start to clog up and clutter up and fog up that flashlight. It doesn't mean the flashlight's not shining anymore. It's just not bright. You just can't see it. And so when we take off those layers and we start to peel back, the stories that someone told me, or the limiting beliefs that I had, or the experiences that I had that weren't fulfilling, or the obligations that I'm carrying around, and when we start to take that stuff off and we let the light shine, your light's not going to shine in the same spot that it shined 20 years ago. It's not going to shine in the same spot it shined 8 years ago or 4 years ago when you came back from Singapore. It's going to shine in a completely different area right now. You're going to highlight a new area with your flashlight, but that's the area that it's supposed to highlight. And you can look around, make sure, double check, but let it shine where you are supposed to be going in this phase of your life. Because remember, I said at the beginning, I want to help you be the next best version of yourself, not the best version. I don't ever want to help somebody be the best version of themselves, because that's done, right? Then we're finished. Then it's game over. I want you to be the next best version of yourself, because then the next time there's another next best version, right? Like when you have a birthday, I hope this is your best birthday yet, not your best birthday ever. I hope it's your best birthday yet. And then I hope the next year is your best birthday yet. And if we think in that level of there's always more, there's always more, there's always more, there's footsteps on the moon, right? There's always more, there's always more. Look at the billionaires in this universe. I mean, if they could do it, we could do it if we wanted to, if that was our goal. If we were willing to do the work to get there, we can have that too. But that doesn't mean that doesn't have to be your goal. Your goal could be to have an influence on people. Your goal could be to build a community. Your goal could be to leave a legacy for your family. It's yours. To me, the ultimate measurement of success is, are you doing what you love to do? Are you doing what you love? Are you free to do what you love? Do you have the freedom to be yourself? That's success.
I think that's where we end it here. I think I like to give that its room, its space. I feels really complete. I have like my marching orders, and I'm gonna like sit with this, and um yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we decided to play this way.
Me
Um
too.
yeah, I'm grateful that you decided to keep like seven, like, because there's things about Kathy, about you, that remind me of me, and I like that. I'm like, oh, like there's high energy. I'm like, oh, is this what it's like to be in a room with me? Someone said you've never been in a room with yourself. I'm like, oh, is this what it's like? Where it's just like positive possibility can be created, like, because I can solve problems, but like problem solving is just a lower, and this I think is part of what you're saying. It's a lower um vibrational frequency than possibility created, like
Absolutely.
and I think we're back in the possibility creation mode. And I think that is problem solving is walking, possibility creation is flying, you know?
Getting out of debt or
Yeah.
building wealth,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
It's all in what you focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll do this here. Outliers. What a treat. I directly got a chance to experience that. So I know that like if we go and say like you got to just change one person's life, I'm like my life's been changed. So I know that. And I'm gonna ask you here, like we play this game differently, and it's because Kathy shows up differently, and we do things differently. And so we take risks. We didn't know where this was gonna go, and we let it happen. So my invitation to you is that you go out and you share this with your world overall. But then, and I'm going to ask this question of you. I want you to think of one person in your life who would really benefit from having this podcast and listen to this podcast and share it with them. And I haven't said this out loud, but like this is, to me, this is the trick behind the whole thing, right? This is where the impact comes, because what's going to happen is that one person is going to hear it, and then they're going to hear me ask them to go and think of one person. And then they're going to think about that person because they know how impactful that was for them. And it's going to just continue going on and growing to find the exact right person each and every time with this incredibly accessible tool that is podcasting. So my ask is like, start us off, right? And if someone brought you on here, continue it down. One person, one conversation at a time. I truly believe that's how this world is going to change, right? At least like part of my contribution to it. So I appreciate you. Kathy, let's end with two things. One, how can outliers go deeper down the journey with you, right? And then the second thing, and this is going to be like it's going to be a different like way of thinking. So we got to put outliers to the side, you got to put me to the side, right? What was your biggest insight? What are you taking away for yourself as a result of being on this podcast? right, in this conversation. And if there's nothing that you're taking away, let that be. That's totally fine. You don't have to force anything. But I want to make sure that we check in on that. So how can we go deeper down the journey with you? And then what was your biggest insight? And we'll end the conversation there.
Wonderful. So I'm sure in the show notes, we'll be able to link to my social media channels. You can join me on my app, What If. It's the What If app. And in there, I have a self-trust quiz. And when you do the self-trust quiz, it will help you understand where you're doubting yourself and why. Why are you doubting yourself? And then I'll take you through a nice little audio series of coming home to me, coming home to yourself, so that you can start to really focus on who it is you want to be and who you want to bring to the world in that little journey. And it's a very short, it's a little sprint, but in that little journey, I think that you're going to feel a little bit of what you felt today, but more personally directed at you. Let me tell you what I felt today. And I knew I would, because the first time I listened to one of your podcasts, your voice is so welcoming and it just invites you in. But what it did for me is it reminds me that we're all so much alike. We all have so much in common. We initially bonded over West Africa, right? And then we bonded over coaching, and we bonded over having a bigger vision, right? And being able to see and do more with our lives. So if you look at every person you meet and you try to find the common ground, which is what we just did here. We've never spoken before, but we found the common ground and we brought the best out of each other. And that is a gift, because not everybody can do that. I've been on podcasts before and not many people can do what Niiamah just did. So if you try to be that person who is looking for the good in people, not only will you find the good in them, you'll bring the good out in yourself. And so today, what I was reminded of is to find the commonality. And I appreciated this time together so much.
Same here. Thank you so very much. You've been incredibly gracious, incredibly generous. Outliers, let's continue down the path. And for anyone that's listening that just wants to go and get the app right away, like it's What If with two F's, correct?
Correct.
All right, just go download it, take the assessment and continue down the journey. All right, Outliers. Until the next time we talk, remember, be you on purpose. Journey on.